Hello, how's everybody? It's been a long time since I've done a video. Many of you know, and some of you probably don't, but I recently took a job back in law enforcement. So I'm not a retired law enforcement turned farmer. I'm a retired law enforcement turned farmer, retired / active law enforcement part-time farmer at this point. So I haven't had a whole lot of time out here at all. It's December 7th, day of Pearl Harbor, and this is the first time I've been out here since before Thanksgiving. So I'll tell you how much time I've been getting out here. I was hoping that this new job I would be able to kind of work in the morning and get out here in the afternoons, or get out here in the morning and work late, but I've been working a lot of hours, so I haven't been able to. Hoping this week I have a lot of early days, might maybe get off early. I can do a lot more work out here, but mostly I'm just gonna try to keep the farm going and develop the soil, work on soil health, get the ground really good for planting and growing things. I'm gonna work on the orchard in the back. That takes years to establish. I have some trees that didn't make it over this very long drought we had this summer. So I'm gonna have to replace some trees out there, and I need to prune and do a better job of taking care of that orchard so I can get it going better. So that's what I'm gonna try to do over the next year or so. I'm not gonna grow crops. I'm just gonna work on soil health, use maybe do some cover crop type plantings, and just work on soil microbes and organic matter, and getting that better than it is now. I've done a good job with what I did in the past. I mean, I started at, I think, 1.7% organic matter, and I'm at 3.4 now as of the last test. So over the last 2.5 years or so of doing this, I've increased the organic matter by double. So that's an important step. Things are growing better this year, and one of the interesting things about this job is I got the job right around the time I normally start, right? At least I thought I was going to get the job right around the time I normally start planting my seedlings for my winter crops, which do really well in Texas. Winter growing is pretty easy to do in Houston because it never really gets that cold, and most winter crops can handle a slight freeze. Sometimes the last 3 years, we've gotten pretty far into the freezing zone, which is not normal here, but we've gone down in the 20s. But normally we only get a few days under 32 degrees. So we got snow last year, which was wild. We never get snow. But because I was going to get this job and I knew I wouldn't have time to harvest or take care of the farm at all, I just kind of left it as is and didn't pull out any of the summer crops and summer plants. And they're loving this weather. It's been surprisingly, I just went through seeing what we had out there just to see. And I ended up harvesting quite a bit, mostly peppers, but some eggplant too. And I'll show you my haul here. Back of the pickup truck, I've got habaneros, I got serranos, both red and green. So I've got red and green jalapenos. I can probably smoke these on my new outdoor kitchen, which is one of the reasons why I took this job. Is we just put in a really nice outdoor kitchen. I've got one kid in college and one about to be in a couple years, so it would be nice to kind of make a little money and stop dipping into my retirement fund to pay for some of that stuff. So I decided, farming hasn't been very profitable. You see these videos on this YouTube thing, and everyone is making 100,000 plus a year doing farming, and it's they don't tell you about the hard stuff really. Some of them do, but to make that kind of money, you really need to upscale and have employees and take care of everything. Doing it yourself, you probably have to be kind of a specialty farmer that only does one kind of crop that's profitable in their area. There's a guy in Dallas I know. He's got a very small amount of land, and he just makes lettuce. He makes lettuce mixes and sells it out because people love his lettuce. So I've grown really good lettuce. I've had good feedback from at the farmers markets. Our lettuce lasts like 6 weeks after I cut it without going bad. It's crazy. So local lettuce is important. I would definitely suggest buying it from a farmer's market if you can, because it'll last longer and be better for you and taste better. Anyway, we got eggplant. We have a ton of poblanos. We had a bunch of them out there. You know, poblanos aren't always the most prolific, but they were. I got some. Nothing's been cleaned yet, but I have bell peppers. And is that it? Oh, and some little cherry peppers, you know. So you can stuff them in cheese or blue cheese or whatever and roast them. It's kind of fun. They're pretty spicy. None of my spicy peppers were all that spicy this year, and I think it was just they were getting a lot of water, and I'm assuming that's what it was, because I don't think it's a variety. I've had these varieties before; they've been hot in the past, but I don't know. I don't know why. Sometimes you get a pepper and it's not as hot as you're expecting, and sometimes you get them and they're a lot hotter than you're expecting. This year, with the exception of my cherry peppers, nothing was really that hot earlier. So I'm interested to see if there's a change when I try them this time. So even the habanero wasn't very hot. I ate it. I just took a bite out of it, and it was like, usually I'd burn my face off, but I didn't that time. So the plots, all the field blocks, they're kind of a mess. They need to be tarped. I'm gonna try to do that soon. I know it's still producing some food, and I don't really have to do it now, so I might just leave it for a little bit and do it later in the winter. I think Gary's been getting most of the ripe tomatoes that are still out there. There's lots of tomato plants. I took the trellises down, but they're still in the ground, and they're kind of trailing around and producing quite a bit of tomatoes. I have noticed that there's not that many ripe ones out there, and I do have cameras out here, and I see an older gentleman with a bag a lot of times. So I did tell him he can have as much as he wants, because I'm not selling them right now anyway. So it's not like he's stealing them. He was given permission, but I'm not getting any tomatoes today, it looks like, which I was hoping to get a few. But Gary deserves it. He's been taking care of everything for me out here. I did have a problem that I saw aside from my water leaks. We put up a deer fence last year, and it was doing an excellent job of keeping deer out. But the ground is really muddy right now, and I'm walking around, and I noticed deer tracks inside the farm. So I'm not sure. My neighbor Gary's fence is only 6 feet tall. A white-tailed deer can easily jump over 6 feet tall. So I'm wondering if they got into his yard and then jumped into mine. That's what I'm hoping happened. I didn't notice the fence down anywhere from what I could see. So there is areas under the fence. Deer do slide under fences. I've seen it. I've seen deer at full speed and then just kind of slide into second base under a fence. It's amazing if you've ever seen that. But deer can do that. So there is possibility they got under the fence, because I haven't put the critter fence up that goes on my fence and keeps smaller animals from getting underneath. Just didn't have time to do that this year. It was on my list. I will say this. I made a big list at the beginning of last year, and I probably got 3/4 of that list done. There's a lot more to do always, but I was impressed with how much we did get accomplished this year, surprisingly. It doesn't feel like we did, but when I look at my list, I was happy. So you always have so much to do out here, you don't think you're getting anything done. But if you make a list, I like lists. If you don't do lists, I highly suggest it. Make a list of things you should do, and then it's really satisfying to just cross something off a list that you did. So I don't know, lists are good, and it helps me remember things I have to do. It also helps me organize those things, because I know what is a priority on that list and what needs to get done eventually and when. Especially with farming, when is a matter of great importance. You have to get certain seeds planted in order to get them in the ground at the right time. You have to do certain things. So other things take a back seat. Like, for instance, I still haven't finished painting the cooler because I got started on it and then I got busy and I had to get other things done and then I forgot, and I have the paint. It would take me 5 minutes to roll the rest because I've done all the trim work, which, that's the hard part. That's the stuff that takes a long time. I just haven't done it yet. So, but that's part of farming, especially when you're doing it by yourself. You got to prioritize what needs to get done and when, and you don't have 100 hours in a day. And I was retired, so some days I didn't want to do a whole lot because I'm retired and 51. So I need some young whippersnappers that are really into farming to learn how to do it and help, but then I have to pay them, and I'm not making a lot of money farming. So, but you don't make a lot of money farming unless you have help, so it's a catch-22. You got to figure it out, I guess. But I did have one issue that came up, and I'm gonna badmouth my neighbor who I like a lot, but I'm gonna badmouth him anyway. Because I was digging the water and electric lines all summer, and I didn't, in order to mow, my tractor actually has a mid mower, but I don't own one. But I have a brush hog that goes on the back of the tractor, so that's what I usually have on in the summer. But this year I was trying to do more of the water lines and everything, but I didn't have I had my backhoe on to dig out the water lines, but so my front got pretty weedy. It was just a mess. It was a jungle out here. So my neighbor decided he was gonna come and mow. My neighbor Dave, not Gary. So it was very nice of him. He had a new mower he was trying out. It's very powerful apparently. So he thought he'd just get it done real fast. He went around my 2 trees up front, didn't hurt them. Went around the other tree I have, didn't hurt that. But what he didn't realize is planted between the trees, I had American Beauty berries, and planted over there, I had a possum haw, which was not only hard to find, but pretty expensive. Mowed right over it. It might be alive. I was trying to wait and see if anything came back, but it's the kind of time of year where it's not going to put out any leaves. But the twig is still green, 2 of them coming up out of the ground. Possum haw is kind of like a bushy holly kind of tree. What's cool about it is it loses all its leaves every year, unlike most hollies, but the berries stay on. So you have this kind of tree with a bunch of red berries on it. It's pretty in the winter, especially because you don't have a lot of trees with color in the winter. So I mowed, he mowed over that. It's probably dead. I found out at Buchanan's native plant nursery downtown in the Heights is an amazing place. If you haven't been there and you're from Houston, you should check it out. Some of the stuff can be expensive. Like, I wouldn't buy a Christmas tree there because they're really expensive for some reason there. But they have a lot of native plants that you can't get anywhere else. And if, when I plant this native plot, hopefully, and that's one of the things I also want to do while I'm not working as a farmer and I'm working as a law enforcement officer again. What I do want to do is work on these 2 front areas and get the pollinator garden going and the Texas native garden going. So those are projects that I hope to do in the next year instead of planting and harvesting all the time and selling. That's the part I'm having a hard time with. I like the planting. I like the farming. I don't like the harvesting and bringing it all to the, farmer's market and setting up and having people go, I don't want to pay $2 for a cucumber while they're holding their $10 lemonade that's going to be gone in 2 seconds. It's kind of annoying. And, you know, you can explain it to them, and sometimes they get it where, you know, yeah, you could buy that cucumber from the grocery store. It's going to be okay. But you're getting higher nutrient dense food from a more organic type growing way without pesticides or herbicides or fungicides on it. And it's going to last longer because I just picked it the day before, where your cucumber was probably picked a week ago or more. So people don't get, and if you look at the farmer's market food versus the organic food in a grocery store, the prices are going to be a lot more comparable. And I tried to show the lady that, but some people, you know, they're cheapskates, and they shouldn't go to a farmer's market if they want to just buy it at H-E-B or Kroger. So anyway, the farm still here. The flag's getting a little faded. I'm gonna have to replace them this year. Especially the Texas flag, for some reason it was a cloth flag and didn't last. The inside of the greenhouse is crazy. I need to figure out how to get all the weeds out of there. So I'm gonna have to do some tarping. I have a flame weeder too. I'm gonna use that. But I also have 2 lemon trees in there. I'm hoping if we do get a cold spell this year, that them being in the greenhouse is gonna benefit that. I'm really looking forward to seeing how that works with the citrus in there, because if it works good, I'm probably going to put a lime tree in there as well, or maybe a couple. Limes are really susceptible to frost and cold compared to some of the other citrus out here. And Houston just right on that cusp where a really cold spell does happen from time to time, and you can lose all of your citrus. But the citrus has been really happy in the back so far. Been very, very happy with the way it's growing here, even in this soil. I was worried, but seems to be responding better than the deciduous trees that I have that are, you know, like the palm fruits and stuff. I lost most of the peaches I put in this year, probably due to the drought mostly. I planted everything before I had the water lines in. The water lines are in now, but I still have to run, you know, actual water lines to, you know, from the main water line to the orchard, and put in drip tape and all kinds of stuff like that. That's another project hopefully I can get done in the winter. We'll see with the weather. We'll see what the weather does to me this year, but last year it was just a lake back there all winter long, so I'm hoping this year is drier. Ooh, made it out to the farm today. Got off work a little bit early, and there's still some sunlight left, so ran out here to do a little more cleanup and check on the orchard and do some work out there. I just got done weed whacking around the blueberries and the blackberries, and I think it's the razzmatazz. Kind of, it's a grape, but it's a muscadine cross, so that it looks pretty good. And I was just checking on some of the citrus in the back. You normally don't want to allow citrus to go to fruit in the first couple years, because then it takes a long time for citrus to actually do some real fruiting and making some nice oranges and other things. But I did allow a couple of them to produce one that was growing, and especially if the citrus looked pretty healthy, I decided I would let it go to fruit and just check out the quality of the fruit. So this one is I believe, I don't have any of my, I took all the tags off of everything, and I don't have my orchard plan in front of me, but I'm pretty sure this is a Moro Satsuma. Satsumas grow really well in Houston because they're usually a little more cold hardy. I still have my safety first glasses on. I'll take those off. I was weed whacking, and sometimes the stuff hits me in the eyes, and I kind of like seeing, so I put the glasses on, which I highly suggest for everyone, weed whacking. Anyway, the next fruit would be the Arctic Frost Satsuma, a much smaller one. I kind of pulled the top off. When I pulled it off, it might not have been quite ripe, but it looks ripe. It's very orange. So it smells really good. So the Arctic Frost is one of the most cold hardy citrus varieties for our area and anywhere really. You can grow them up to, I think, or up to 20 degrees, or down to 20 degrees, I should say, which is really cold hardy for citrus. Citrus usually doesn't like to get below freezing ever. And then this one, I believe, is the Page Tangerine. So I'm going to try them all and see which one tastes the best. I'll let you know. So this is the Arctic Frost Tangerine. I just had one and it's really tasty. A little bit on the sour side, but still really sweet. So I like it because I don't like when things are too sweet. No seeds. It's really, really good. It's like a very tangerine-y type flavor. I don't know. I really like this one. I didn't get to try the Moro. As you can see, it's a little dried out inside and it feels a little spongy, so I don't think it's good quality eating, so I'm just not going to try that one. Oh crap, I realized I was just still recording. So I'll edit this. You won't see me peeling the Page Tangerine. One thing I like about it is a lot less pith on this. I peeled almost all the white part off. So I'm kind of excited to try it. Let's try it. You can see the segments are a little bit bigger than the Arctic Frost Satsuma. And it looks like there are some seeds in it. The Satsuma is completely seed-free. I didn't have one seed in it. So that's kind of neat. Let me try it. Two seeds. It's not as strong an orange flavor on this one. It's still really tasty. And about the same amount of sour versus sweet, so I kind of like it. It's, not too sweet and not too sour, so it's really, really tasty. I kind of like it. All right. Well, I mean, oranges, how could you go wrong, right? But I have made fruit. My orchard exists at least for 1 year, so, and pretty excited about it. We're gonna try some more coming up. I think I have a few more different things out there. All right. Hello, everybody. First week of February. It's we just got over a big cold snap. I still, way in the background, you probably could see maybe all the citrus is wrapped with the frost cloth. We'll see. Hopefully they all made it. It wasn't that cold for that long, but it did get a lot colder up here in New Caney than it did in Houston. So it went down into the 20s. So that's pretty cold. I tried to pick most of the citrus to be a little bit more cold hardy and still tasty. So hopefully it was fine. So Jason and I, our friend Eddie has been staying with us because he's working down here and he moved up to Lufkin after he retired. He was an air marshal like me. And he's been kind of paying his way by bringing us fresh eggs every day. He's got a bunch of chickens up there in Lufkin. And this week he brought me a bunch of onion starts. Now, I don't normally do onions because they're a little bit time consuming. You got to bend over and plant them by hand kind of. And then you got to pick them up and, kind of clean them off and then dry them and all that stuff. So they are a little bit time consuming, but there are people that did ask me for them when we were at the farmer's market. So I know there's a market for them here. So I got free. I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth, as they say. I got free onion sets, so I planted them. So we got, on the far end, we got just regular yellows. And then in the middle, we have red onions. And on the other end over here, we have some sweet yellows. And then I had another row because I thought I'd need it. And I didn't, so I just planted some green onions there. And where they ended, I added some green onions that I had by seed with my my trusty Jang seeder. That thing's awesome. So one of the things I am gonna do to make it a little bit easier, since like I said, they are time consuming. I've been thinking about getting this tool for a while. It comes from Neversink Farms. It is called a zipper. What it does is this end makes those nice rows that you see, and then the other end, you come in and you use it and you close it, and it puts the dirt right back on top. It hills it back on there and tamps it down with the zipper part. So I thought I would try it. It's supposed to be perfect for onions, so maybe I'll take a little video and show you me closing them back up. Anyway, back at the farm, first thing we planted all year. We got some starts going in the greenhouse. Might as well go in there. Having uneven germination with the start so far, and part of it was the cold snap. I planted them like the week before the cold snap and they started coming up. So you'll see I have back there is a plastic tarp that had coming over the top, and you'll see some of them are coming up great. These are mostly tomatoes and eggplant. Bell peppers aren't really coming up yet. A few of them are in this plot. And then over here I have mostly our other tomatoes, and they're just coming up sporadically. And part of the problem was I had a heater on under the tarp, and the heater was drying out the tops. So I'm worried that they might have germinated and died. We'll see. I'm gonna give it another week or two, see if they start coming up. There are ones coming up sporadically. So, and I don't know if it was just because it was wetter there and they lived, or if they just haven't germinated yet. So we'll find out. If not, it's a little early for tomatoes. I like getting them in early because, especially the beefsteaks, they won't head up. Well, not head up, but they won't ripen around here if it gets too hot. You need to get them in the ground early and kind of gamble. I think some other people just don't grow them, but I really like beefsteak tomatoes. And I did really well with the cherries and it's a small plum variety, kind of like a cherry plum called Juliet, that is very, very tasty and a lot of people like. Those were great last year. So I'm trying a few new varieties that are supposed to be good in the heat and also very tasty. There's Florida 91. There's one called Homestead that people are probably very familiar with. These are a bunch of heirlooms. We have Estiva, which is supposed to be another good, really hot tomato that is, big enough. What else do I have over here? These are Juliets and some more Homestead. There's Kusterly, which is like an heirloom. There's more Florida 91 over there. And then I have black zebras, green zebras. Everyone loved the green zebras last year. I loved them. They were the best tomato I grew last year. I grew some Cherokee purples. I'm not normally a purple tomato guy, but I am getting requests for them, and I don't have to eat them. Other people like them, so if they like them. And Cherokee purple is one of the better ones if you're going to grow a purple variety. The Russian purple varieties aren't my favorite. They're a little sweet and not as tomato-y, if you ask me, but some people swear by them. So, and then there's one called Orange Strawberry, Aussie, and Mule Team, which are supposed to be good heirlooms and good hot weather tomatoes. So anyway, that's what's going on. I put in some El Jefe seeds that I had. They're jalapeno. I saved those seeds about 4 years ago, so they're getting a little old, and they're not coming up so far that I can tell. But I thought I'd try. I got a few to germinate last year, and I really love that. They replaced that variety with better varieties. Yeah, sometimes they're just not. Jedi is what I grew last year. Everyone liked it. I didn't think they were that hot for a jalapeno. Gary got a few that I gave him, and his were hot. And it might have just been overwatering them from my end, because they were under the sprinklers all year. So sometimes if you overwater a hot pepper, they don't get that hot. So that could be the problem. That might have been what I did. So I have to work on honing down the water system so that the hot peppers get a little bit hotter. So this is going to be my first attempt to use the zipper to zip them back up. If you can see, there's like an angle on this side, and what it does is it pushes the dirt back towards the middle. So you should be able to grab it like this, and it basically just covers them back up. That seems to be working pretty good. Just gotta be a little careful with it so that you don't mess up your the things you put in the rows. Like, I don't want to make my onions fall over, because they should be planted with the, you know, the roots on the bottom. So just like all bulbs. This works pretty good, and I don't have to bend over, which is awesome. One thing it does do is it makes a hill on top of it rather than patting them down. So I wonder if I might come back in here with a roller or something and just roll the top so there's nice contact with the soil. But you can see how well it works and how quickly. The issue I had is I hit this little edge on one of the onions and I popped it out, so I just pushed it back in. But it was fine. It worked really fast, a lot faster than planting them. I had to drop them all in by hand. I'm sure there's a better way to do it if you have the right tools, but they can be expensive. So if you're going to do onions on a vegetable farm, you usually do them by hand. So but yeah, we'll see how they all come up. I do not know the varieties, and that could be an issue here in Texas, but he did buy them here. But onions do grow well in Texas, especially sweet onions. They like it a little hotter, but sometimes they could get too hot too quick, then they spoil. You got to get them out of the ground and then dry them. So we'll see how it goes. So we did have a big problem with animals here on the farm recently. I noticed some deer tracks. Not really sure how they're getting in because I hadn't seen any since we put the deer fence up. But I didn't ever put the critter fence part of the deer fence up, which normally you put the deer fence up, you want it as high as you can be because deer can jump about 7-8 feet tall. So my deer fence is 8.5 feet up. In most spots, it might be a little lower in some. But you put it all the way at the top of the fence, and then there's a gap at the bottom, but that gap's okay because I have what's called a critter fence that goes with it. The critter fence is a steel 1x1 inch fence that goes along the bottom, and you put it all the way to the bottom, and then you just attach it to the deer fence. The deer fence itself is poly, and the critter fence is steel. So what it does is it keeps smaller animals out that could do a lot of damage. Skunks and raccoons can climb, so they could probably get over the fence, but it does make it a lot harder for them. So it does keep some of those animals out that can do some damage to the ground. One of those big animals here in Houston area and Texas in general is wild hogs. And the wild hogs are getting under the fence, and they found, luckily it was just really the mulch I'd put next to the perennial garden here, because right here, if you can see, you'll see some of the asparagus that popped up because it was warm, and then they kind of died from the cold. This is the asparagus right here. This is the first row of the perennial garden here, and then right next to it I had a probably 4-foot wide band of just mulch. Well, in that mulch is grubs and things like that. I found just in my the big mulch pile over there I was using, I found a scarab beetle grub. It was this big. I'll see if I have a picture I can post for you guys. It was huge. I'd never seen a grub that big in my life. I didn't even know they were that big, but it was a scarab beetle, which is, you know, back in the Egyptian times, those giant beetles that are like that big. And I was like freaked out by it, but it was so cool. So anyway, you can see what's happened, and I'll show you over here at the fence what we've been doing. We've got about 2/3, maybe 3/4 of it up. So if you look, here's the poly fence. It's really strong. It can withstand a deer running at full speed. It's like 1,200 pounds per square inch or something like that strength. It's really quite strong. Doesn't look strong, but it is. You have to really cut it just to even cut it. So, and then at the bottom, it's hard to see, but this is a steel fence. It gets staked into the ground by these rather substantial stakes, and then you attach it with hog rings. You can see the hog rings on here to the other fence. So it kind of becomes one big fence. So I've been putting this up just to keep the hogs and any other animals out. It's supposed to keep even like snakes, and I don't really mind the snakes, but it keeps snakes out. It keeps rats out. I don't think it's going to keep rats out unless I bury it. Small rodents like that are going to get in. If I ever have a big rat problem, I'll just put traps out and get them, because they can be a problem at a farm. Usually not too much, because there's not enough of them to do that kind of damage. But anyway, this is the perennial garden. I planted some rosemary last year. The rosemary's really happy. There's some trailing rosemary here. That one's doing okay. I put in some strawberries to try to establish them. This whole row of strawberries. That side got a lot more sun. This side was more shaded in the fall, and it got really hot. And some of them lived, and I'm happy about that. And they established themselves, so I might be able to get a crop of strawberries this year, at least for my own personal use. But the other ones died, and you can see over here where the hogs did do some damage to the ground here. They dug it up there. There weren't any strawberries there, but they dug it up looking for grubs, I think. So I have planted some more things around here. This is thyme. Thyme is awesome. Can you see it? There it is. Thyme is awesome because it creeps along the ground. Creeping thyme creeps along the ground, and it covers things and keeps weeds out too. So I might even put some thyme between the rosemary just to keep it weed free. And then this is my first attempt at garlic on the farm, and they seem really happy. And there's P coming to visit. Hi P. You're gonna get wet. One place they did do a little more damage is over there. I planted some Swiss chard and chives over here. I don't know if anything's coming up yet. It looks like chives right there coming up. So I have some stuff coming up that they might have damaged. I don't know how much. We'll see what happens. I've never planted or grown Swiss chard even in my own home gardens before, but there's all you can do with them. You can eat all kinds of parts of the Swiss chard. The leaves you can use like a spinach kind of thing. The stalks you can use, cook it. Cook. There's lots of recipes that call for Swiss chard that you can use them for, and they're really pretty. The variety I have is it's kind of a rainbow mix. That's probably the most popular variety. It's called Bright Lights, and it just has orange and yellow and red stems. It's just pretty. You can even use it as kind of like a cut flower and use it for decoration if you really wanted to. So anyway, that's the rest of what's going on the farm. I mowed down the field block. I might tarp it. Trying to figure out the best way to keep the weeds down this year. There's still more to be mowed and done. Doing some work in the orchard, lots of work in the orchard this winter, and we'll get going with the farm again. Yay. I'm in the greenhouse. Hopefully you all can hear me. Even though it's February, it's pretty warm here in Houston still. It's about 70 degrees outside, and just working on some upgrades. Over here we have what I used as my seedling support It was basically 2 fence posts held up by cinder blocks. And I've used that the last 2 years, and it's just not working right. I've gotten uneven germination because even though it's pretty strong, it still sags in the middle, so things get crooked. And when that happens, I get water in one spot and not water in the other. And some things grow really good and some things don't. So I'm making some upgrades. I just cleared off everything. Some of what we have growing here is over here. You can see I am getting some germination. I got a bunch of tomatoes and some peppers and eggplant. They all look pretty good. You see back here, I still have 2 lemon trees. I have a Meyer and a Lisbon lemon back here, and they're doing pretty good. It's nothing like a lemon blossom. They smell so good. Anyway, I am getting some, I guess I am getting some bugs on here, so hopefully they're germinating and pollinating the lemons. I thought I was gonna have to come here with a brush because we're indoors, but I do get bugs in here. There's a wasp coming after me. Wasps are good. They tend to pollinate things. Don't kill wasps. Plus they kill bad bugs sometimes. But everyone hates wasps. I don't like being stung by them, but I like them around the farm. So we had a cold freeze. I had some tomatoes that were still growing in here. That cold just about finished them off, but there's some coming back from the ground here. So it was a little warmer on the ground. You can see what I'm talking about. These are all planted around the same time. None of these are growing. All those are. And that could be partly the growing medium I used. The ones that aren't growing is from some of the medium from last year's peat moss. When peat moss dries out really bad, it doesn't really, it takes a really long time to rehydrate it. So it was pretty dry, and every time I would water it, the water would just sit on top of it. Like, it would totally repel the water, and it took a long time for that to rehydrate. I think that's what the problem was with that. But I bought a new kind of, I usually make my own, but I saw this stuff called Natural and Organic Potting Mix plus Fertilizer by Black Gold, and I tried that, and there's another couple other different things I've tried, and I really like this stuff. It's germinating stuff really well. It's mostly peat moss. It's got a little bit of fertilizer in it. It's 0.09, 0.03, 0.03, so barely anything, which is good for seedlings. You don't want to have like a really strong fertilizer that can burn roots. But we're out here, so if you have a weak fertilizer in your seed starting mix and then you fertilize it as it gets a little bit bigger, that's probably the best way to go. Anyway, what I'm doing out here looks like a ladder. It's upside down right now, but I'm creating, I measured my trays, and they're all about 24 inches. One's like 23 and a half, other one's 24. So I made basically, here, I'll flip it over so you can see. Oh, this is heavy. Let me flip it over this way. That's gonna be the only problem with this thing. So you can see, I made it so that the tray could fit right on these rails. And it's a lot stronger. It's very, very square. So I think it's gonna work a lot better. Everything should germinate a little more evenly. I could buy tables. They make really cool movable tables that I could put in here, and they're really expensive. Or I could just buy some wood. It cost me like, I had wood laying around, so it cost me nothing there. I had screws laying around, cost me nothing there. And then I had, I bought some more wood, maybe, 10 2x4s, treated 2x4s at $4 a piece. So that was at 32 bucks or 40 bucks maybe. So, yeah, so it wasn't a lot of money, where I could spend hundreds of dollars on fancy ones that are metal and you have to put together, and it takes like 4 days to put together one table, from what I understand. So I'll show you what's going on the farm. So we got a little onions going. That's kind of cool. I've never grown onions before, at least not You know, bulb onions. I've grown green onions plenty of times. Green onions are awesome. They're the best things. People need them in just about every recipe, and they're easy to grow. They're not easy to grow in the summer, but this time of year it's fine. Other than that, I got ginger soaking in the back. I'm gonna try planting some ginger and see how that goes. I got these raised beds. I figure that'd be a good spot for them. Out here, just to help with pollination and stuff, I have some zinnias here. This is parsley coming up. That's a weed. That's not parsley. But this is parsley, mostly. And this is Gaillardia or Indian blankets. And I think this coming up here is the purple coneflower I planted. But I'm not sure if that's weeds or coneflower. I've never tried growing coneflower from seed. I usually just buy it and then plant it somewhere. Down here it can be a perennial in Texas, and it's a native. So that's going to go in the native gardens or possibly just in the pollinator garden. I'm going to get started working on that soon. I still have to finish the deer fence. I'm getting hogs underneath the fence, and they're getting in on my neighbor's fence and my fence. They're getting underneath. So I've got about 3/4 of the critter fence part of my deer fence up, which blocks them from getting in. Hoping I have enough to keep them out. I might have to buy more of that critter fence bottom to do the rest of my neighbor David's fence, so that we can keep out hogs, because they are tearing things up pretty good. They're not really tearing up the garden so much, but they're gonna get there eventually if I let them keep coming in here. So especially when I'm growing stuff, they're gonna want to eat it, just like the deer did. I still have deer coming in, and I'm not really sure where. I'm gonna have to set up some cameras and see, but my guess is in the very back there, that's where all the wood that when we cleared the land was put, and it's kind of just mulching and, you know, it's probably really fertile back there. But there's a hill from that, and I wonder if they're climbing on that hill and jumping over the fence and getting in that way. The other way they could be getting in is David's fence is only 6 feet tall. They could be getting in there, but I don't think they can get in around my deer fence. It's 8.5 feet tall, and there's probably no chance they can jump that, especially Texas deer. It's one thing in Texas that's smaller. They say everything in Texas is bigger. That's not true when it comes to deer. The deer down here are not as big, especially whitetails. But anyway, I got a tarp out here. I started working on weeding the plots, getting them ready for planting. I'm gonna have to put some of those tomatoes in the ground soon. Put my tomato trellises back up. That seems to be working really well. And I like that system a lot. So that's just an update. What's going on here? I'll send pictures of the new seedling supports when they're done. Okay. Y'all see that? That is a black widow spider, and they love my greenhouse, and freaks me out a little bit, but spiders are good to have, but not this kind. Out here at the compost patch is the hot pile. Well, it's been cold for a while now. It's been just sitting here waiting to be used. So I finally got around to creating a little 1/4-inch screen. I basically just built a box with a screen between it, and it fits on top of here, and I could shake it back and forth, or I found that like picking it up and kind of bouncing it is the best way to do it. But I screened some of the top off, put it on the screen, shook it, and now I got this really fine, really nice compost. It's gonna go in the gardens.